Hi, it's Divyajyoti Mahapatra. Welcome to my channel DJM Physics.
Hello students. So today that we are going to start the new topic, that is motion in a plane. First, before starting this topic or before going to the real motion in a plane situations, we have to undergo a mathematical topic that is known as scalar and vector. Okay. First, let us understand what is the need of scalar and vector. In the motion in one dimension or motion in a straight line, there were only two directions, either in this direction or one object can travel in this direction. Motion in a straight line. Okay. So in that case, if I am taking this as the positive direction, this I am taking as the negative direction, and the parameters which were having directions like velocity, acceleration, displacement and all that, if the velocity is along this or the object is moving along this direction with 20 meter per second, I was telling the velocity is equal to 20 meter per second. If the object is moving along this direction, I was telling v equal to minus 20 meter per second if it is velocity. Similarly, displacement along this direction, displacement is 15 meter. So it will be s equal to 15. If it is along this direction, displacement is 15 meter, then it is s equal to minus 15, like that. But here motion in a plane, it does not only about two directions, plus or minus. We cannot represent all the directions in plus and minus. Why? Because motion in a plane mean, let this is a plane, this board is a plane. Motion in a plane mean an object can move like this, an object can move like this. A circular motion also is a motion in a plane. Okay, so in all these cases you can see there are not only two directions, like here there are infinite number of directions. You can see there are, how many number of directions are there? Infinite. Many, each and every point, at each and every point the directions is changing, the directions are changing. So here, to study about motion in a plane, we are bound to develop a concept which can represent the directions. The magnitude is very simple, it is just a number, you can represent that, but we have to represent the direction properly. Okay. So that is why there is a chapter or there is a mathematical concept actually. This concept you will also learn in mathematics in your class 12, but here we will learn the physical, the scalar and vector in a physical method. Physical method mean or physical way, means whatever part will be required in physics to describe motion in a plane, we are only going to deal with those part. Okay. So let us come to the topic, that is scalar and vector. I think you heard these names previously also in your class 9 or class 10 chapters, or also in the previous chapter I have told that distance is a scalar whereas displacement is a vector, speed is a scalar whereas velocity is a vector, like that. But the way we are defining scalar and vector till now, the vectors particularly till now, is not complete. What we are defining, how we are defining a vector? A physical quantity which has direction is known as a vector, but it is not complete. Why? Let me first give you an example. Current has a particular direction or not? Obviously yes, because if I am telling a current is moving from here to here, and if I am telling current is moving from here to here, they both have different meaning. From a switch to a bulb a current is coming, and from a bulb to the switch a current is coming. They are obviously different things. If you are connecting a bulb with a battery, either you can tell the current is moving, going from the battery to the bulb, or from the bulb to the battery, and both of them give some different meanings. It means current has a direction, but still current is a scalar. Okay, but still current is a scalar. Now why current is a scalar? There is some problem in our definition. Our definition should be like, a physical quantity which has direction, it is okay, it is applicable for maximum of the physical quantities, but some physical quantities has direction but still they are scalar because we can add them algebraically. Now let us understand what do we mean by this. If let there are two forces applied, or let there is a person standing here, okay, and there are two forces applied on it. Let there are two ropes are tied with the hands of the person. One person is pulling this rope along this direction with let 10 Newton force, and another person is pulling this rope along this direction with let 5 Newton. Okay. So how many number of forces are there? 10 Newton and 5 Newton. There are two forces. So what is the net force should be? 10 plus 5, 15 Newton. But in this case it is not 10 plus 5. The answer will be 10 minus 5, and you must have done these things. Means here while you are calculating the net force, you are not simply adding the individual one. Here you have subtracted the individual one. Similarly, if there are two force like 10 Newton along this direction and 5 Newton along this direction with an angle of 30 degree, the net force will be neither 10 plus 5 nor 10 minus 5. It will be completely different. That we will know later how to add them. But the answer will be completely different. It means when you are dealing with force which is a vector quantity, you actually cannot add them algebraically. Algebraically means general addition. You cannot do general addition. 10 plus 5 you cannot do here. Or let if it is 12 and 7, you cannot just tell the net force is 12 plus 7 or 12 minus 7 like that. There are some particular rules are there. It means, but in case of current, what happened? Let me show you. In case of current, if some current is moving, let there is a junction, or let there is a some wires are like this, okay, here and there some wires are come like this, and currents are flowing. Let from here 2 ampere current is coming, along this direction some 3 ampere current is coming, and some from this direction some let 7 ampere current is coming. Okay, if someone is asking you what is the net current at the point, then it does not matter whether the current came from here or here or here. You simply add all of them. 2 ampere plus 3 ampere plus 7 ampere. It is simply 12 ampere. Okay. Now if you change the direction, okay, now if you change the direction, let the 2 ampere current is now not coming from here, the 2 ampere current is coming from here, then also the answer is going to be the same, 12 ampere. But here in this case, in case of force, if I will change the direction, let 12 Newton and 7 Newton were acting at 60 degree, 120 degree. In this case the result will be different. In this case the result will be different, completely different. Okay, the forces are same 12 Newton and 7 Newton, here also same 12 Newton and 7 Newton, but the results are different. It means while you are dealing with force, you have to take care of the direction, from which direction the forces are applied. But when you are dealing with current, you don't have to concentrate on the direction from which direction current is coming. And when you are adding current, you don't need some different rules. Simply add them. What is the current? 12 plus 3 plus 7 plus 2. Finished. 12 ampere. But when you are adding the forces, you cannot do like that. Here in this case, the force is not 19 Newton. It will be some different answer. Is it clear? That is why this is a vector and this is a scalar. Current is a scalar and force is a vector. It means we have to change our definition because both have direction. Current also have direction, force also has direction. But I am telling force as a vector and current is a scalar. It means we have to change the definition. Now note it down. What is the vector is called? Vector is a physical quantity which has direction but the addition and subtraction process cannot be done algebraically. There are some specific laws with which we can add or subtract then those are known as vectors. Okay. And for scalars, the quantities which do not have direction or whose direction does not contain more significance in physics, and also those quantities we can add or subtract algebraically. Okay, then those are known as scalars. I think this definition is clear. Now let us come to the next part. Those are types of vectors. Okay. Now we will learn addition of vectors. Okay. So as in the definition I have already told that vector is defined as some quantities which could not be added algebraically, or which cannot be added like 3 plus 5 equal to 8. No, you cannot add them like that. You have to follow some rules or specific laws. So for addition there are 3 different kind of laws, and remember that all of the 3 will give you the same answer. Like in childhood, how to add 2 plus 3? Sir, this is 2, this is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is one kind of addition. One more student can take 5 sticks and he may add. One more student can take 5 fingers from his leg and he can add. All of them will get the same answer. So these are also same kind of things. They are additions, different laws, but finally the result must come same. Now the question is, then why 3 laws? Why not 1 law? There are 3 laws. Let me just write down the laws, name of the laws. First is triangle law of vector addition. Triangle law of vector addition, or there is, this also can be known as triangle law of vector subtraction, same rule. Then parallelogram law of vector addition, and the last is polygon law of vector addition. Polygon law of vector addition. So these are the 3 types of additions or 3 laws of addition. Now the question is, why 3 types then? If the result will come same, then why 3 types? This law can be used to add more than 2 vectors, but these 2 laws can only add 2 vectors at a time. If you want to add more than 2 vectors, 1 vector, 1 vector, 1 vector like this, then you cannot add these 3 vectors by using triangle law or parallelogram law directly. You have to add 2 vectors. These 2 vectors you add, then you add that result with this. Like if it is given 2 plus 3 plus 5, how you are doing? 2 plus 3, then the result with the third number. Like that we have to do in triangle law and parallelogram law. But polygon law can add all these 3 vectors directly. So that is why the polygon law. Now again, why this law and this law? Triangle law and parallelogram law, the formula is same, the answers are same, but where to use which law, that method is different. Or sometimes you may find that the triangle law will be easier to use, and sometimes you may find that the parallelogram law will be easier to use, because they are defined like that. Okay, while we will learn, then we can know the differences between them, and then we can also know that where to use triangle law, where to use parallelogram law. Otherwise they will give the same answer. Okay, now let us come to triangle law. And if you want to understand what is triangle law, how to use triangle law, then all the other 2 laws are exactly similar, and there will be no difficulty in understanding. So first we will learn triangle law of vector addition. First let us define it. It is a definition. This triangle law is, first we have to define that, and accordingly we have to go for the formulas, derivation of the formula. This is also a long type question in your board exam, many times it comes. So the definition is like that: if there are 2 vectors given let it is A vector and if it is B vector, and it is asked to add them, okay, add these two vectors. Then how to add them? First draw the given vector, one vector, then draw the second vector at the end of the first vector. It may be given anywhere, here, 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 or here, or here, anywhere. But while you are drawing, draw the B vector. See, this is A vector and this is also I can tell A vector, because you can see they both have same direction and also they have same magnitude. While drawing in exam, you don't have to put scale and take their magnitude, but you can simply assume or you can approximate at the distance. Now, I have to draw B vector here at this point. How to draw B vector? If I am telling that I have to draw B vector, then it is a must that this vector and this vector must have same magnitude and same direction. Same direction means they must be parallel to each other, and same magnitude means this length and this length they must same. Okay, now I can tell if this is B vector, this is also B vector. Then complete a triangle, as the law suggests, triangle law. So complete a triangle using these two vectors. Okay, two vector or two line cannot make a triangle, so we have to draw a third line. How to draw? From first point of this vector and last point of this vector, you just join them, you will get the third line. Okay. Now see what is the order of A vector and B vector. Order does not mean direction, remember. It is clearly seen that A vector has and B vector has different direction. A vector direction is this, B vector direction is this. But they are in a same order. Order means clockwise or anti-clockwise. Those are known as order. Clockwise order or anti-clockwise order. Okay, or it may be different to you. So like this, if it is moving like this, it is clockwise. If it is moving like this, it is anti-clockwise. So here first check what is the order of the A vector and B vector. You can see you are starting from here and moving to here. Means like this. This is the order of A vector and B vector in this way. Like this you are moving. So like this means anti-clockwise direction here. It may be anything according to the given situation, but here in this case it is anti-clockwise. Now give the direction of this line in the opposite order. If this is anti-clockwise, give the opposite order. Means like this means the direction must be here. Like this, you have, if it is moving like this, you have to give the opposite direction. Or if it is difficult to understand for you, you can simply remember, start from A, goes to B and come to R, or come line across this line. Like this you are coming, whichever direction you came, give the direction to the opposite to that. Like this you are coming, so give the direction in the opposite direction. So this. Now this is a vector having some magnitude and having a particular direction. That vector is the resultant vector. Here, while you are adding two numbers, you are telling the answer as result. Here, the answer is known as resultant vector. Okay, and I can now write that this R vector will be equal to A vector plus B vector. Means if you add these two vectors, you will get a R vector along, or you will get a R. This is just a name for resultant. I have given a name R. You can write it as C vector, D vector, anything, but normally in many books, in all the books actually, they are using this symbol R vector. So it is better to write R vector. So if you add these two vector, what you will get? You will get a vector of this, like this, okay, and of this much magnitude, from here to here, this much magnitude. So this is the R vector. Now you can draw the R vector anywhere else, but it must be parallel to the result vector that you got here. Okay, I can tell this as R vector. I can draw the R vector here also, anywhere you draw, but you have to check that the direction must be parallel and the magnitude must be this much. Okay, this is the definition of triangle law, and also this is known as graphical method of addition, because you have seen that we have not taken any formula, we have not used any formula to add the vectors, we have just used some diagrams to add these vectors. Okay, so this is known as graphical method of vector addition. Okay, now let me just rob all this, wipe out this all, and let me define the triangle law now in a single statement. Let me state triangle law. If two vectors, listen carefully because it is a long definition and each words are different. If you are leaving only one word also, marks will be deducted. If two vectors are represented by two sides of a triangle in same order or taken in same order, then the third side of the triangle taken in opposite order will give the resultant of those two vectors. Is it clear? If two vectors are represented by two sides of a triangle taken in same order, that is the important part, most important, because this order will give you the direction. Okay, taken in same order, then the third side of the triangle directed in the opposite order. If this order is like this order is like this. So directed in opposite order gives the resultant of these given vectors. Okay, so that is the triangle law definition, and this is the graphical method. If graphical method is asked, you can simply draw these diagrams like this. If these are the two vectors I have to add, then I have added and I found the result like this, and I can tell R vector equal to A vector plus B vector. Now a question can be asked, very simple question. So how you know? Why I will draw a triangle? Why not I will draw some other figure? How you know that this will only give you resultant, not this, not this? The resultant can be anywhere. How you particularly know? This is completely experimental law. Remember, there is no such derivations are there for triangle law of vector addition. It is completely experimental, and although there is no experiment related triangle law in your syllabus is there, but there is a experiment related parallelogram law is there. Okay, so while you will do that experiment, you can actually, I will actually explain you that how these laws might have come. I am also not sure how these laws came, but these are completely experiments. Experimental law means some experiment has been done by taking different velocities, adding them, different forces and adding them like that, and finally they have got a law, or they have got a common structure, that if two forces are added, two velocities are added, or two different vectors are added, all of them are giving this type of result. That is why they have gave it a name, and they have defined it in terms of triangles, and the name triangle law is given. Okay, that is the only thing now I can tell. There is no certain derivations is there, only there is a definition or a statement from where which is represented graphically. So this is the graphical method of triangle law of vector addition. But in physics, is it possible every time that you will draw the diagrams to add the things? Is it possible? Like I am telling, there are two forces of 10 Newton and 5 Newton acts on an object at an angle of 30 degree, what will be the resultant? And what is the net force, tell me. Then what you will do? You will go and draw a triangle and part of 10 Newton, 5 Newton, and then you will add that by trailing diagram, and you will tell, okay, that is the direction of force. No, it is not possible every time to draw the diagram or to represent the question in the diagram or tell the answer in the form of diagram. They will ask, if it is 5 Newton or 10 Newton act on an object at an angle of 30 degree, then what will be the resultant? There must be a number. The resultant is this much Newton. You should tell that this much Newton force is actually net force is applied. But if you will draw the diagram, is there any answer coming? What you will do? You will draw a diagram, then you are going to measure that and you are going to tell the answer. No, that will obviously give you answer, obviously, but it is not every time you cannot do. That is why we have to derive a method, that is known as analytical method, and finally we have to construct a formula from the definition of triangle law. That we are going to use every time in future. Okay. So now what we are going to use? We have to derive the formula for triangle law of vector addition, or I can tell it is the analytical method of triangle law of vector addition. But remember that this analytical method also depends on, or also comes from this definition or from graphical method. We will use this graphical method or the definition, and from there only we will develop a formula. Okay. So now let us come to this part. Before coming to the analytical method, let me tell you what is given and what is asked. Accordingly we can do the calculations. What is given? It is given that there are two forces acting on an object, or there are two vectors. For example, I am telling forces every time, but those are applicable for any vector. Let there are two forces acting on an object. Okay, let it is a vector, or a vector is applied, and there is another vector B is applied along this direction. Okay, let me draw some bigger diagram as you requested in last classes. So let that is a vector and let it is B vector. Okay, they are applied on the same object. The question is calculate the net vector, or if it is force, calculate the net force. If it is their velocity, calculate the net velocity, like that. And also if it is not given in diagram, then they must give you this angle theta. Two forces of 10 Newton and 5 Newton act at an angle of 30 degree, find the resultant. Means angle must be given. So let that angle is theta. Okay. Now first thing what you have to do is, you represent this or use triangle law and draw the vector. For now, at the end you don't have to draw. To derive, just I am telling. So first draw, and to draw that, as we know, I have to draw the B vector here at the end of A vector. So take this B vector and draw it here. So this will be B vector. Remember, while drawing B vector, this must be in the same direction. Here if B vector is given like this, you cannot draw B vector here, or you cannot draw B vector there. And remember, always give the arrow marks. These are vectors, must be represented with arrow mark. I have seen many times, means 50% of the students, they are just missing the arrows, they are just drawing triangle. You are not learning geometry here, remember. You are learning vector addition, and all the lines, they are actually vectors. So must give the arrow mark, must. Now draw this resultant vector here. How to draw? Join these 2 points, okay, and give the opposite. If they are in this order, give the opposite order. So this is your R vector. Now what I have to find? If I know this magnitude, this is A vector I am writing here. If I know this magnitude, if I know this magnitude, then what will be this magnitude? I have to find a formula. So what are given to me? A is given. A means magnitude of A vector 10 Newton, that is given. Magnitude of B vector is given, means B is given. See, magnitude of A vector you can write like A, or you can write like this also. This is given to me. Magnitude of B vector is given, or you can simply write this thing as B, that is that 10 Newton and 5 Newton, and the theta, angle between them, these three are given to me. What is asked? What will be the net vector, or what is the magnitude of the net vector? Means what is this length must be, means what is the magnitude of R vector. Okay. And also it is asked, okay, let me finish this part, then I will come to the another part. So these three are given to me, A, B, theta, and R is asked for now. Now let me give this name as beta. See clearly what is angle theta and what is angle beta. Theta is this total angle between A vector and B vector, which must be given. Now beta, I have just given it a name, given it an angle between a vector and r vector. For now, let beta be just a angle. Later on, we will understand what is that beta represent. Now, just I am drawing some geometry here. I am taking this line in forward and I am drawing a normal from here to here. And I am giving some name, that it is P point, Q point, S point and T points. These are not vectors, these are just some geometry for the derivation purpose. And again, if this angle is theta, you can see these two lines must be parallel because both of them are B vector. So if this angle is theta, this angle must be theta. Okay. Now, if this, now let us write from this triangle. Okay, from this triangle. Or let me write what I want this R. So from this triangle you can see in triangle PST triangle. In that triangle, that is a right angle triangle. So obviously I can write R square. Remember, I am not writing here R vector square. Why? Because I am just finding out the length, not the direction. You cannot find the magnitude and direction simultaneously. You have to find them separately. It is not a diagram that you will, while drawing a diagram, you have drawn the magnitude and direction simultaneously. But while deriving, we have to derive the magnitude separately and we have to derive the direction separately. Okay. So here it is not R vector square, it is R square. This square equal to this square plus this square, Pythagoras theorem. So I am writing it as PS square plus, okay, let me again write it in capital and somewhat larger, R square equal to PS square plus ST square. Okay. Now R square equal to PS from here to here. PS I can write it as A plus this much. Yes or no? So PS is A plus this much, that is QS side square plus ST square. Now let me again remind what I want. I want the expression of R in terms of A, B and theta. Those are given. A, B and theta are given. So now A is there. But for QS and ST also I have to write this QS and ST in terms of theta. A, B and theta. Okay. So now for that thing, let me do, this is, I have left it here. I am just writing the next thing. What I want to write QS and ST in terms of A, B and theta, and for that you use this triangle, this smaller right angle triangle here. Means in triangle QST, in this triangle you can see sin theta will be equal to, in this triangle sin theta P by H, so it will be ST divided by QT, or I can write sin theta equal to ST divided by QT. This length is magnitude of B vector, so B. Okay, or I can write ST equal to B sin theta. So here this ST I can write it as B sin theta. So that part is completed. Now let us write QS. If you have understood this, then obviously QS is also in the same triangle. To find this you are using sin theta. Means to find this base, obviously you have to use cos theta. If you have understood, it's okay. Otherwise remember what you have to do. Triangle in the triangle QST, again you can write cos theta equal to B by H, means QS by this is again B. So I can write it as QS by B, or QS equal to B cos theta. This is equation 2. So you can see that this QS and ST I got in terms of B and theta, and I want that A, B and theta. The answer must be in terms of A, B and theta which are given. It means now if I put these values here, these two values here, A plus QS is B cos theta whole square plus ST is B sin theta whole square. Now simply solve it and write it and bring it to a simpler form. The answer is done. So let us do that. R square equal to, this is A plus B whole square formula. If you will use, it will be A square plus B square cos square theta plus 2 into A into B cos theta plus this is B square sin square theta. Let me just check whether this part is coming in the video or not. Okay, it is coming. So here I can write R square equal to, here you can see it is B square cos square theta and it is B square sin square theta, and we know cos square theta plus sin square theta is 1. So if you will take them together, or you can write it like this, A square plus from these two terms B square is taken common, cos square theta plus sin square theta, okay, and plus 2AB cos theta. So this became 1, sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. You don't write like this in exam. In exam you write because cos square theta and sin square theta is 1. So R square equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta, or imply that R equal to root over of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. So now you can see that you got the result in terms of A, B and theta. Means, now come to the first question. What is the question? 10 Newton and 5 Newton force are acting at an angle of 30 degree. What is the resultant? Means 10 is A, 5 is B and theta is 30 degree. If you put these values, you will get what is the resultant. Now you don't, once you derive all this, after that you don't have to go to draw the diagrams. Just use this formula, you will find the answer. Okay, in exam, for now I have started from here. In this step I came to here like that, just to make you understand why I will do this. But in exam, draw this diagram. First you do these two, then you derive this and this. Okay, take the note from here. Now it is not completed yet. Now first let us understand why it is not complete. Okay. Let me rub this out. Okay, now the question is same. There is a object on which, let there is a 10 Newton force and a 5 Newton force are acting at an angle of 30 degree. Find the resultant. Use that formula to find the resultant. You don't have to draw the triangle law. So R will be equal to A square plus B square 2 into A into B into cos theta root over, or imply that R equal to, this is 100 plus 25 plus this is cos 30 is how much? Root 3 by 2. So these 2 and 2 are cancelling out and it is 50 root 3 root over, okay, or R equal to 125 plus 50 root 3 root over. Okay. Now if you will do this, here it is a just somewhat difficult calculation. Okay, let me make it 60 degree. Just this is the answer. Okay, you can do it, but this answer is coming was somewhat difficult. Let me make this angle as 60 degree. 5 Newton and 10 Newton and 5 Newton acting at an angle of 60 degree. Now it will be cos 60 degree, which will be 1 by 2. So 50, 50. Okay. So now R will be equal to 175 root over this much Newton. It means if these two forces 10 Newton and 5 Newton forces act on an object, neither they will give you 10 minus 5 5, neither they will give you 10 plus 5 15. How much they are giving you? Root over of 175. It means root over of 175, it will come 13 point something. If you calculate, you will get 13 point some Newton. Okay. So 10 Newton plus 5 Newton, how much you are getting? 13 point something. And if you obviously if you change the angle, you will get different answers. Okay. Now the question is, my question was, what is the force? Now force is a vector. Now if force is a vector, I must tell the force on this is along this direction or along this direction or along this or along this. That force 1 root over of 175 Newton is along which direction? That also I have to tell, because force is a vector. Is it clear? So how I will know whether it will go like this or like this or like this or like this or like this? Finally, I have to find in which direction the object went. I have applied two forces, but neither the object will move along this direction, neither it will move along this direction. Now you just go for your day-to-day life experience. You bound an object or tied an object with two ropes. You pull it from here and one of your friend pull it from here. In which direction the object will go? Somewhere in between. But exactly in which direction, that I have to calculate. Is it clear what is left in our derivation? Means till now we have found what is the value of R. But in which direction it should go, that again we have to find out. So let us do that. It means in this diagram, if I will define or if I will find the value of beta, if this angle is known, then I can tell, okay, this R vector went with an angle of 50 degree or with an angle of 15 degree or with an angle of 17 degree or 20 degree. Like that I can tell if this beta is defined. Okay. So now let us find this value of beta to complete the derivation. So again from this triangle only we will find the value of beta. From the same PST triangle PST, in triangle PST, okay, I can write tan beta equal to, you can write it in terms of sin beta, in terms of cos beta, in terms of tan beta also. But if you write in terms of tan, then you don't have to find the value of R. Okay, let me first find out, then I will tell why I have not written sin beta or cos beta. Tan beta will be equal to how much? ST, this triangle, this P by B, so ST divided by PS, or imply that tan beta equal to ST is PQ plus QS, ST is, from here we have found one equation was there, the first equation you can see, in equation 1 we have, this is equation 3, equation 1 we have found ST equal to this, and in equation 2 we have found QS equal to this. So from equation 1 ST equal to how much? B sin theta. So in ST I can write just B sin theta divided by PS. PS I can write is PQ plus QS. So PQ is A plus QS is B cos theta from equation 2. So this is the formula. If you find tan beta, obviously you can find beta also. Okay, from while doing numerical I will tell how to find beta from tan beta. Okay. Now see the answer we again got A B theta. A is in the previous question, A is what? 10, B was 5 and theta is 60. So put in this equation you will find the value of tan beta. Okay. So now the question is why we have not taken sin beta and cos beta. If I will take sin beta in this triangle, what it will be? P by B means ST by PT, and what is PT is R. So if only angle is asked, then also you have to find the value of r in that case. If it is cos beta, then also again PS by r. So again you have to find r. Is the question clear? You can write like this, means let me just write it here. If I will take sin beta, it will be ST by PT, or sin beta will be equal to ST. ST was B sin theta divided by root over of PT is r. So what is r is? R is this much. So it will be root over of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta. Now we can see which formula is easier, this formula or this formula. Obviously to me, I am finding this formula is easier, that is why we have done it. Or in many books, or in all the books, they have used this formula. They have not written it in terms of sin beta or cos beta. You can write it, this is also correct. Okay, but don't go for something extra which is not given in your book, especially for board exams or class exams. Okay. So this is the triangle law we have defined. We have derived the graphical method, or we have explained the definition in terms of graphical method, and we have derived the formulas to find the direction, magnitude and direction of the resultant vector. It is not over yet. The derivation part is over, but there are many special cases are there. There are many notes we have to take, which will be very useful for 1 or 2 mark question or for numericals, and there are many more concepts are there in this triangle law. We will do that in the next class. Okay. Thank you. Be safe and study well.